Welcome to the Queens of the North podcast. I'm Gabby DePaula along with Drew Jones. We are heading into week 5. We are a quarter of a way through the NFL season. A quarter.
That went by so fast already.
I know. I feel like it always does. Especially for you guys. You had 3 games in 11 days.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw, all of your games came quickly and they were one of the first ones to happen in each week.
Honestly, all the football just runs together at that point, especially when you watch a whole Sunday slate. Like if you watch a morning game, an afternoon game, and then the night game, and then watch Monday night, it's just it all just runs together at some point.
It does. Yeah. It all kind of goes together. But tough week for both teams, I think. Steelers, they lost the Jets. I don't know if anyone saw this because Zach Wilson was back. He was playing. It wasn't Joe Flacco anymore. Zach Wilson played a heck of a game. Again, I didn't see this. I don't know, who else saw this. I don't know what you were thinking. Ravens lost in the last quarter, in the last couple minutes again. It's their 5th home game in a row that they've lost, including the 3 from last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So tough time for both teams. How are you feeling about the Steelers? Steelers and Jets losing to Zach Wilson. Do you think the Steelers may have overlooked him?
What's funny is last week, if you recall, I made a score prediction of 24-17 Jets over Steelers. So I kind of went into this game. Obviously, I hope to win each week, but I was like, our offense is not doing so hot, so I'm going to expect to lose. And funny enough, we lost 24-20, but we had a garbage time field goal at the end of the first half because of the penalty. So, it was pretty close, but did they overlook Zach Wilson? I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have a game plan for him. Especially playing against Flacco for a number of years. I just don't think that they anticipated how good he could be, especially coming off an injury.
Yeah, well, he was a little shaky last year. I think we did see a few sparks from him. But the way Joe Flacco was kind of leading that team, of course, I think they were 1-2 going into that game, but it still was. I kind of thought they would keep Joe Flacco for another week or keep him in for another week because the Steelers defense is no one to play with. And Zach Wilson's coming off a knee injury. I don't remember exactly what it was, but enough to keep him out for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. He actually had surgery on that knee as well. Even though it wasn't ACL, it was like an MCL or meniscus, something like that, but still had surgery on it.
Something like that. Yeah. It's I think all you have to do is clean it up. I haven't gotten mine cleaned up yet, which I was actually thinking about it today. I was
you might have to do that.
Anyways, back to the NFL. I'm also not running into giant men for my job.
Yeah, I would dislocate probably every bone in my body if that was my job. Sometimes I look at these, but when they do the field views, I'm like, yo, this is ridiculous. I don't know how you withstand that for multiple downs a game, multiple games a year.
Oh God. Yeah. Tough. I guess maybe not so much a tough loss for you because again, you were kind of anticipating it. Steelers looks like they're transitioning their offense to a Kenny Pickett offense. Finally, I expected them to really transition by the end of October, the end of this month. Came rather quicker than I think most people thought. How are you feeling? What are your thoughts? What are your takes? Shaky offensive line still. New quarterback. What's up?
I know we lost the game, and that's really disappointing, especially at home in front of Steelers fans. But man, does it feel pretty good to have Kenny Pickett in there. And I'll tell you why. He only had 3 incompletions, and while those 3 incompletions were interceptions, I just, hot take, don't think that they were completely all his fault. And remember what I said last week, that good quarterbacks, successful quarterbacks, are willing to take chances, and that's what Kenny was doing, throwing the ball downfield, giving his receivers an opportunity to make a play. I feel like the last interception you can't really count because it was a Hail Mary, so that one doesn't count.
Sure.
And the first 2, we can debate all day of whether or not he should have made those passes, but they did touch his receivers' hands. I mean, we'll touch Claypool's hands, touch Freiermuth's hands. So it's kind of like maybe they could have made those catches. The second one for sure that tipped off of Freiermuth's hands definitely could have been caught, but I'm
You
happy
got
about
your
Kenny.
wish. You got your wish. You got a Kenny Pickett offense and a
Mm-hmm.
quarterback who's going to take risks.
Mm-hmm. I'm
You
feeling
got
pretty
exactly
good.
what you wish for.
Yeah. I'm excited. It was funny because when I was working on Sunday, and
Mhm.
one of my coworkers is a Jets fan, so he's all he's happy, he's excited, and all my other coworkers are like, "Drew, we thought you'd be like, more like in rough shape, like in past weeks when we've lost." And I'm like, "No, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the future here."
Yeah. It is what it is right now. You guys aren't, I wouldn't call it, I think I said this in week one, you aren't rebuilding, you're restructuring. You're seeing what life is like without Ben Roethlisberger.
I mean, when
But
you have somebody so
also,
long.
yeah, Steelers really need to get on their run game as well. Maybe with Kenny Pickett in there, it'll be different, but like you said, it's all up to the offensive line too, which has been and still is shaky. But you guys play the Bills this week.
Yeah, that'll be a
Thoughts
tough
and
test.
prayers.
Tough test.
Thoughts and
Sorry
prayers.
about your Ravens losing to the Bills in a
They
nice.
kept him in check. I actually, when I was watching the game, I saw a stat right before Josh Allen cut it to a one-score game before the second half. His last drive, he was before his last drive, he was 5 for 13 for 42 yards.
Mm.
First half.
Mm-hmm.
Then they scored the touchdown. Then he went 11 for 22 for 105 yards and then the TD. So pretty much over double what he
Mm-hmm.
was doing about 5 minutes prior.
Yeah,
Which is
what's
pretty
going on
insane.
with your Ravens? I mean, they were up by 17 points at one point. So
They came
what
in
are the
hot. They came
problems?
in hot. I think it was the second play of the game. Marlon Humphrey had a huge interception. No pick six, but an interception. They actually led that to a touchdown, which we've talked about before. Like when defenses make those big plays, you have to score.
Mm-hmm.
Field goal, touchdown, whatever it is, you cannot punt. You have to score.
Yeah.
And they did. They got a touchdown in that drive, which is great. And I felt like the momentum was on the Ravens side. And it pretty much was for most of the game. Ravens are ranked last in their pass defense. Even with Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens, who they drafted 2 years ago, I felt like he's been a great guy. He was I think one of his assignments was Stephon Diggs a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Peters had Stephon Diggs as well. Um, but second half just or maybe more like fourth quarter, not a Ravens not the best look for the Ravens, right? They really should be 4-0. They were leading by 3 touchdowns against Miami. They were leading by a touchdown. They could have went um so the Ravens last drive of the fourth quarter, they decided to go for it on fourth, and I think it was 4th and 1, which most people say, yeah, you should go for it. Ravens used to be, I mean, great in the red zone, great on fourth down too.
Right.
But I guess like the way the situation was going, they were really relying on their defense. Apparently, John Harbaugh said that the analytics said to go for the touchdown. But when everyone kind of like looked at the analytics, it was like a 2% chance. Like the analytics said,
Oh,
you had a 62% chance of winning if you scored the touchdown, a 66% chance of winning if you won or if you kick the field goal. So I'm like, is that real? Like, is your analytics mind saying, yeah, we should go for the touchdown because that makes sense?
uh-huh.
I mean, that's too much of a 50-50 shot. Everyone kind of thinks they should have went for the field goal, take the points. I do too.
Yeah,
Because
sometimes you have to be a little bit conservative, at least send
yeah,
the game to overtime and then have trust in your team in overtime.
right. And I mean, that last play as well, I don't know who Lamar went for. I mean,
Uh,
Devin Duvernay was uh open wide right. Mark Andrews was open. They had several players open. I mean, shoot, he could have just ran it in too, and he didn't do that. Um, tough loss. But now you guys have the Bills. They're coming off a huge win. What are your feelings?
it's going to be a tough test for sure. And especially, the Steelers are 0-7 without TJ Watt. So if I'm being realistic with how crazy, incredibly dangerous the Bills are, how we're kind of Deontay Johnson also said it. We're not rebuilding in a bad way. We have a lot of young guys on offense. They're just, now getting reps and experience and trying to figure out the identity. So
Yeah.
if I'm being realistic, we're probably going to lose that game. But I'm actually an optimist. So I don't know, like Kenny comes out there with some swag. He takes chances. The thing about like last week's game that I think could, we might see this weekend as well is Mitch and the offense weren't getting the ball downfield. Thing with Kenny was Kenny in the offense, they were getting the ball downfield.
Right.
Maybe it's just like Mike Tomlin, they just needed a spark. They just needed something different. With that said, I think maybe we'll generate some more offense this coming weekend. But I'm pretty optimistic. Maybe we can keep it close if the defense holds them.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's exciting. Now you guys have some kind of change. You have something to look forward to. Like you said, Mitch wasn't taking risk. He wasn't getting it down the field. He really wasn't. His defense was doing everything imaginable to keep the score close. And, Minka is just that entire defense pretty much. So
I know, right?
you can't put everything on Minka. What if Minka gets hurt? He has before. You never know. Again, they're restructuring, but it's fun to see where they go. I can see Mike Tomlin and Kenny Pickett having a great relationship throughout Kenny's career if he stays and plays there and whatnot. Still questionable about the offensive calls, but we'll see. I mean, I don't want to compare this to he looked really good during preseason, right? I mean, of course, he was going on his first reads and he was playing against third, maybe fourth string guys.
Right.
So he got a little bit of a taste, but now, you have these first stringers who multimillionaire, pass rushers coming after him.
Did you see that one hit that he took? I don't know if you saw this.
I think I did.
And because I watched a lot of stuff, podcasts afterwards, and I was like, wait, yeah, hold up.
Was it Quentin Williams?
And Kenny stood there and took it. Like a lot of quarterbacks, are like, like somebody's coming after me. I need to like run out and run escape, whatever. Kenny threw the ball downfield, completed the pass, and then took a huge hit. That's Ben Roethlisberger-esque quarterback right there.
Yeah, well, Ben Roethlisberger was a little harder to take down.
I know.
Man's a thick man, thick and tall.
Very, very big shoulders. But, point that you made last week was, we should look out for who's taking reps in practice. And Kenny hasn't taken any first team reps
good point.
Since preseason. So, considering how people like, oh my God, I threw 3 picks, but it's like, come on, man. Like
I felt like across what I saw on Twitter was he got a lot of praise.
Yeah.
Because everyone realistically, I mean, if you above the average fan, average fan, they're mad. He threw 3 picks. This guy sucks, right? But if you know what's going on, he's not taking first team reps, like you said. He's only really done preseason. He's playing with the second and third string offensive line.
Yeah.
He's not playing with an actual run game. He's not playing with Chase Claypool, Deontay, you know what I mean? Like he's playing with these second, third string guys. So yeah, no, I mean, it's not going to gel well as soon as you throw him in there. I'm sure he wasn't quite aware either.
He didn't know. They asked him if he knew he'd be going into the game, and he was like, well, Tomlin just came in during halftime and said, Kenny, you're going in. So he just, imagine like you're not even told before the game, hey, if we don't score X amount of points, if we're not leading at the half, we're going to go to Kenny. Like, no, there was no preface before the second half.
I like his quote at the end of the game. He said, if you have a first string mentality, then you're always ready. Something like that. Which I was like, yeah, like you need to have a first string mentality. You should always be ready to go. Helmet on, ready.
You don't know how many times you're going to get an opportunity. So, but now we know he's the starter. So
he's the starter, which that's I'm sure you're very happy about.
KP8, hail to Pitt. Love it.
Oh, God.
But I will say this, aside from all of our offense crap, you can't let Zach Wilson get down the field in a 2-minute drill at the end of the fourth quarter. I mean, that just can't happen. The defense has to step up as well. And
I've said this, the Jets aren't that bad.
Yeah.
This might be a good year for the Jets. They aren't that bad. They have really good weapons. They drafted really well with their
Yeah,
wide
Sauce Gardner,
receivers.
incredible.
Their offensive or their head coach is a defensive mind. I love him, Robert Saleh. Like I love him. I think he's great. I think he's great for the organization. Their defense isn't that bad. They have a ton of guys on defense. Quincy Williams, his brother Quinnen Williams, like CJ Mosley. Like they have a ton of guys on there. CJ, I think, had led the team in tackles. I think it was like 12 tackles or something. I mean, they aren't a bad team. They're still just trying to find find what works for them. And I mean, of course, like, can you compare that against the Steelers? Not sure, but the Steelers still have a really good defense that you still have to play against. So for that, like, yeah, I will give them a ton of props. We will go. We kind of already talked about some of our hot takes were the Ravens in quarter four.
Well, I got a stat for you if you're ready.
For the Ravens,
It's more of a Bills stat, but it affected
whatever,
the Ravens. So
whatever. What?
um Bills have outscored their opponents 44-0 in the third quarter this season.
I saw that
Yeah.
actually.
So whatever they're doing in the locker room is working.
They're making adjustments. They're making the right adjustments, which the Ravens used to be really good at. And now they're just kind of, I don't know, heads in the clouds.
I know you don't like to talk about it all the time, though, but with Lamar's like looming contract, I mean, Ravens just can't waste a good Lamar year at this point, you know?
Well, I don't know if you saw. I was watching The Herd, Colin Coward. I think his show is very informational. Sometimes his hot takes, actually, probably 50% of his hot takes are very just out of left field. But I do like the stats and some of the people he brings on an interview. Yesterday, he brought on Michael Vick. And I was like, oh, I'm turning this up. So I listened to Michael Vick, and I will also send you like maybe the tweet or the quote to add to here. But Vick said, or one of the questions here, I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, you tweeted something he said.
Yeah. Okay. So Colin Coward asked Michael Vick when he noticed he couldn't outrun linebackers, juke them, whatever, and how he kind of felt like I can't get hit in the hips. I can't get hit like that anymore if I keep running. And Vic said it was around the age when he was 30 or 31. And Lamar's, I think, 24, 25 right now. When he felt like things changed, getting ready for a game, prepping for a game, he said he just felt completely different. Prepping was different now. One of the quotes he said was, you get to a point mentally, he'll go in saying, today, I'm going to try and sit in the pocket and pass it and not move around a lot because I don't want to get hit. So that was Vic when he said 30 to 31. No, now we know Lamar has kind of passed some of his numbers at such a young age and whatnot. I think it's a topic, sure. Like, I mean, but everyone gets hurt, right? Like Ravens had a couple guys who tore their Achilles. That's probably the worst injury you can almost have in the NFL. That's common, right? That's common. Right. Besides like concussion, unfortunately, that's common. I don't like that protocol at all. I think it's too short. I've said this like for years, but the Achilles, that takes, I think, over a year to really come back fully healthy. But Lamar, being at such a young age, he can still move around. But he's got to choose when to throw it out, hold the ball so he doesn't get hurt, so he can last in the NFL.
Yeah, totally agree.
That was my take on that. So moving on, let's talk about the AFC North. Let's transition there to the whole AFC North. We said before coming on here, the AFC North, there's not really a huge front runner. I mean, it looks like it's probably the Ravens right now. I hate to say it, the Browns kind of look good. Bengals might be coming back. What are we doing here? What do you think?
Ravens, Bengals, Browns all kind of tied for first, if you will, with the 2-2 record, and then the Steelers, kind of coming in right behind with 1-3. But no, I agree. It's tough because, like we said a couple weeks ago, we were kind of surprised that the Bengals were 0-2. So now they're 2-2. I think that they finally shook the rust off, and they look pretty good on Thursday Night Football. So I mean, I would even if they stay playing like that, like they kind of had an all-around good game. I mean, Burrow threw for almost 300 yards, had 2 touchdowns. Mixon had a touchdown, and they have a bunch of wide receiver weapons. If they
Yeah.
keep playing like that, like they might be the strongest in the AFC
They
North.
could. They could come back. I mean, it's a long season. They still have to play the Ravens again, or Ravens. Well, they're playing the Ravens this weekend, but they had to play them again. They have to play the Browns and they have to play the Steelers again. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
still tough. Still AFC North is still rough football
Oh
up
yeah.
there. So
Oh yeah. I will say this, I don't want injuries, but I do love a bench clearing brawl, man. I would love to see something tenacious and nasty on
with
Sunday
what two
night.
teams, Drew?
With
Be
with
more specific.
with
Say
Ravens
it.
Bengals on Sunday night, give me some entertainment with a bench clearing brawl. That's how
With the
AFC North
Ravens and the Bengals.
Yeah. Why
Mm,
not?
maybe Jamar Chase and like Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters talks a
A
lot
lot
on
of
the field.
crap.
hmm
I'm with it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Just
I've
just
turned
make
into
it
a
fun.
huge
Make it
Marcus Peters
entertaining.
fan.
Really.
What?
Sorry, make it fun. Make it entertaining.
We're not hockey. Hockey, it's like part of the game.
I know. Or baseball. But the thing in baseball is, you get a bench clearing ball, but nobody actually throws a punch. Like
Everyone just walks out, sweatshirts on,
Yeah,
chest up.
exactly.
Yeah, it's not real.
Right.
Yeah, no front runner for the AFC North. I mean, I guess like you could say it's the Ravens, but just the way the Ravens have looked at home, questionable.
Mm-hmm.
Ton of questions. Okay, moving on to where are my notes? No AFC frontrunner, right? I mean, the Bills kind of are, but this year, man, if you were in a survivor pool like I lasted 3 weeks. This is insane because you don't know who's gonna win each week. You really don't.
Yeah. Well, especially
It's
when there's a lot of tough teams. I mean, look
yeah.
at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are incredible. I mean, the Dolphins were 3-0, but now it's a little up in
Mhm.
the air with what's going on in their organization.
Mhm.
Obviously the Bills are really good, but then most of the AFC North teams are really good and competitive as well. So
Yeah,
I think the AFC in general is just considerably more competitive than NFC.
I do too. I mean, and I think a lot of people kind of were skeptical about that too, because they have a ton of players that came to the AFC. NFC they have the Eagles. Eagles look great.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles are the only undefeated team, I think.
Yeah. Are they
They
real?
were losing to the Jaguars, who have a great defense. It
They're
looks like they got their
legitimate.
offense together, and Doug Peterson, he knows the Eagles very well. It's their head coach. Um, so I mean, the Eagles did come back, but again, like Jacksonville put up a fight last year. They probably would have had maybe a field goal on the board. Different team than last year, but
Mm-hmm.
again, it's what I'm trying to point out. There's no real huge front runner. Maybe the Chiefs, maybe the Bills. Sure, yeah, but if the Ravens didn't screw up in the fourth quarter, I keep calling it quarter four. That sounds so odd. In the fourth quarter, the Ravens would have won. The Chiefs lost to the Colts. I mean, and they're gonna see them again because they're in the same division. So huge toss up for AFC and NFC. I guess you could say the Eagles are the front runner, but they haven't really played anything legit. They played Washington. They played the Vikings. They just played the
Yeah.
Jaguars. Like, okay, come to the AFC North.
Right.
From the AFC, go play the Jets. I would like to see that. Play the
Well, even
Jets.
the rest of their division, looking obviously Washington, like you said, not the strongest team. The Giants, I mean, they're 3-1, but
Their
Daniel
offense. Same thing with you guys. Like they're winning by their defense. They're
Daniel
winning by their
Jones went down
defense.
over the weekend. Tyrod Taylor went down over the weekend. There, but
Um,
no, I'm with you. I mean, I feel like the only threat to the Eagles in the NFC East is the Cowboys, and I mean, honestly, due in part to Cooper Rush. He's like
yeah,
one of the only quarterbacks to start their career 4-0 for the Cowboys. So
he has
that's
like the
incredible.
longest streak without an interception right now.
Oh, I'm loving
Even
that.
against Tom Brady, even against Aaron Rodgers, I think even against Patrick Mahomes, he has one of the longest streaks right now without an interception. He's not throwing for, I think, 300 to 400 yards. I think it's more like 250-ish. He had 2 touchdowns in this last weekend, but he's winning games.
Yeah. Mike
Go
McCarthy's
Cooper.
happy.
Hey,
Coach
Dak might
McCarthy's
be
happy.
playing this weekend. If it's Jerry Jones's team, Dak's probably going to be playing this weekend.
I like Dak as a
Overrated.
player, as a
Overrated.
person, but man, I just love the backup QB like leading the team story.
Yeah.
Like that
Great story.
that gets me. Talk about underdogs. We love our underdogs. Like I just love that stuff.
It's so fun. It's so fun. I love it, especially like looking at this third string quarterback for the Patriots. Kind of look, I mean,
He's
this
pretty
is
good.
so early and so quick, but it's kind of looking like a Tom Brady story right now.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Packers almost got zapped. I'm sorry. I come in with
You should
puns.
send that to Patriots social team, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ravens play Bengals this weekend. I think the Ravens will win as long as they are there playing in the fourth quarter. Okay.
Right.
Go for the field goal. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You know what I don't like though? John Harbaugh in his press conference, he like you'll see a lot of guys, a lot of coaches kind of own up to it. Like Broncos,
maybe I shouldn't
head
have
coach
done that or whatever. Right.
He did that. He's like, maybe we should put in our $230 million quarterback instead of kicking the field goal against the Seahawks, right? Maybe we should have done X, Y, and Z. He's very vulnerable in that way. John Harbaugh, no, he's not admitting anything.
Yeah.
And that's what I wish he would say is just like, maybe we should have kicked the field goal. Probably been a better idea. I think he said hindsight 2020, which is true.
Of course.
And you're going to have people that come after you too. It says, why didn't you go for it on fourth down? You have Lamar Jackson. Yeah. It never ends.
Double-edged sword. You can't win unless you actually do win. So
yeah. Should we do score predictions?
Yeah, let's do it. I definitely think Browns are going to lose this week to the Chargers.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll be close though, because Justin Herbert is hurt.
Well, and last week, I totally forgot to mention this when we were talking about the Browns. Amari Cooper was limited to 1 catch for 9 yards. So, I mean, he's arguably the best receiver on their team. If they
run game, baby, run game. They got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Nick Chubb over 100 yards, 1 touchdown last week. So
Donovan Peoples-Jones, which they didn't really use him that much, but
I just love the name.
I know. So long though, so long. By the time you say it, he's already scored the touchdown. They already kicked the field goal or kicked the PAT.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, the late interception really killed the Browns. So yeah, just tighten the things up. It could be a close game, but I think Chargers are certainly another very strong AFC team. So
yeah.
But score predictions. Okay, what are you thinking? Ravens-Bengals Sunday Night Football prime time. What you got?
Prime time. I think it's at home. I'm going with Ravens 35 to Bengals 21.
Dang. Yeah. 2 touchdowns over.
I think the Ravens offense pretty much have it together. There's some, as long as Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator, doesn't go away from their game plan, they should be good. Defense, on the other hand, against Joe Burrow, we saw that twice last year. Joe Burrow threw for like 500 yards. Please don't do that again.
I love me some Joe Burrow.
Stadium. We're good.
Love me some Joe Burrow.
Shut up.
I love it.
Not this weekend. No.
Totally agree. Could be a pretty high scoring game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the score go into the 40s a little bit. It'll just be a shootout. That's what I thought was going to happen last week with the Chiefs Bucks on Sunday Night Football. I was like, this is going to be a shootout. So.
Well, it was funny because like the Ravens and the Bills, they were kind of like teetering back and forth for a little while. For the most part, I mean, the Ravens had the ball, had possession for most of the first half, for like 3/4 of the first half.
But that's definitely going to be a type of game where your favorite does defense win championships. Defense going to have to come in big.
Yeah, they are. They really are. Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase would like to be the number 1, but recently it's been Tyler Boyd. Maybe not last week, but recent weeks. Joe Mixon. I mean, they just have a ton. They have a ton of offense, and they should be doing better. And apparently, I mean, their offensive line's a little shaky.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a thing across the league.
Yeah.
But Steelers, I think Steelers play the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see Josh Allen not play the entire game. And I think it's going to be like 35 to like 14.
Damn. Hot take. I think our offense will certainly improve this week. I think the game will be realistically score prediction, maybe like 30 to 20 Bills. Optimistically, I don't know. Steelers kick a game-winning field goal. Come on now. Let's go. I was basically 2 for 2 last week on score predictions. So
You're supposed to be realistic.
I know that's why I said I gave you a realistic one and then I gave you an optimistic one.
Okay.
Because
I
I
think
am
they
a
kind of mesh
glass
together in my head right now.
half full person. Glass half full person.
Okay.
Hey, you know what we need? We need Cam to get in there, make a couple sacks. We need Devin Bush in there, make a couple sacks. We need Minka to have like 3 pick sixes, you know.
Yep.
I
Yep.
know.
Same. Yep. That would be nice. Yep.
Yep.
That'd be great. Okay, guys, I think that does it for us going into week 5, a fourth of the way through the NFL season. So sad. I love football season. It's the best season ever.
I know.
That is it for us for Queens of the North. I'm Gabby DePaula with Drew Jones. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.